So in last lecture, we saw what is DBMS, what is file processing system, advantages of DBMS and disadvantages of file processing system. We saw database languages, DML, DDL, DCL, TCL. After that, we looked into DBMS architecture, two-tier architecture and one three-tier architecture. Okay, so all are clear up to that? Any doubt up to that? No doubt. Okay. So now let us see the next topic. So, are you able to view my screen? Can anyone answer, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So let us see what is instance and schema. As we discussed, instance is collection of information stored in database at a particular moment of time. I gave you one example that if today I am having 54 students in my class, that means there are 54 instances. Okay, that is instance. And if tomorrow 6 people are added in your class, then I would be having 60. So that is my instance. Okay. And what is schema? The design, the representation of the data is called schema. Okay. For example, let us say if you want to write name, then you will store your name in varchar or in character, right? So that is schema. How it will represent that your name is represented in character. That is schema. Your age is represented in number. That is schema. Okay. So next topic is data independence. What is data independence? Data independence is to modify a schema definition in one level without affecting a schema definition in the next higher level. That means that what we are doing, if I am doing any change in one level, then it should not affect me in any higher level. Okay, so that is data independence. Both data should be independent from each other. The interfaces between the various levels and components should be well defined so that changes in some part do not seriously influence others. So that if we are doing change in one part, then that should not influence others, so that other data should not be changed. It should remain as it is. Okay. Here in data independence, we discussed about metadata. What is metadata? Data about data. That is called metadata. So here we can see that there are two levels of data independence. First one is physical level and second one is logical level. In physical data level, what it is said that capability to change the internal schema without having to change the logical schema, external schemas or application schema. That means that in physical schema, we can change internal schema, means we can change internal representation, which it should not affect to logical schema, or you can say application schema. That is your physical data independence. And what is logical data independence? Logical data independence is that whatever logic you are changing in your program, it should not affect to external schema or application program. That is logical data independence. This we have discussed already. And you all know that it will store information about how data is managed inside, that is logical schema, right? So our next topic is data abstraction. What is data abstraction? To hide something, to hide some irrelevant information from someone, that is data abstraction. For example, let us take example of online system. So in admin's part, admin's view, the admin can see product code, product quantity, and product price, product name, everything, every detail related to product. But in user side, as a customer, we can only see product name, price, and other details of related to product. We cannot see how many quantities are there, what is product ID, because it is irrelevant for us, right? We have no work to do with it. Okay. So in data abstraction, it is said that There are three levels of data abstraction. First one is physical level. You can say physical level is the lowest level of data abstraction. It tells us how the data actually stored in the memory. How data is stored into memory, it will show us that in physical data abstraction. Okay, it will deal with this data structure in which data is going to be stored. Next one is logical. In logical data abstraction, it is described what data is stored in the database. Okay, with what data is stored in database, it also says that relationship between data, how data are related to each other. That is logical data abstraction. Next one is view. What is view? It is the highest level of data abstraction. It describes how user interact with the database. That means which part is to be shown to the user. That is view. Okay. Again, let us consider that example of online shopping system. User's view would be different and admin's view would be completely different. Okay, so this is data abstraction. Only the information which is relevant to different kind of user, that are only shown. Other irrelevant information we are hiding from user. Okay, represent the needed information, you can say. There are three levels of data abstraction, that is physical, logical and view. Okay, next one is, let us move towards complete database architecture. In database architecture, you can say there are different kinds of user. First of all, what is database user? Let us see that. Whenever I say database user, there can be different types of user, right? Each one would be having their own functionality, their own part that they are playing in this architecture. So you can say that primary goal of database system is to retrieve information from user and store new information into database. They are retrieving the information and they are storing new information. Okay. So you can say that people who work with database can be categorized as database user, or you can say database administrator. There are two kinds. Okay. First one is database administrator and other are database user. So in database user, there are four different kinds of user. First one is naive users. What is naive user and what it does? It invokes one of the permanent application program that have been written previously. For example, let us consider people accessing database over the web, bank teller or clerical staff. We can take example here that consider a student who wants to register for a class. Such a what that student will do, he will connect to a web application program that runs at the web server, right? Then the application will first verify the identity of user, that whether this user is allowed to use it or not, etc, etc. Okay, if it is allowed, then it allows them to access a form where the student will enter the information, basic information like enrollment number, name, etc, etc. Okay, the form the form information is sent back to the web application. After filling the form, it will be sent back to the application, means application which is at a server side. Okay, then it will determine if the room is, if there exists such room in which student want to participate or in which student want to register. That is naive user. Okay, you are interacting with the program with the help of web. Here different examples are given. Clerical staff or bank teller. What they do, they don't know information, but they will fetch some data through their computer, or you can say through the web application. Okay. Next user is application programmer. What it will do, it will write programs in some high level language such as Java, .NET, etc. Okay, it will write the application program in different language. Also, you can say that application programmers can choose from many tools to develop user interfaces which are existing in real life. Okay, there are many tools and application programmer can select the tool and he can work on it. Next one is sophisticated user. What is sophisticated user? It interacts with the system without writing programs. Analysts who submit queries to explore data in the database falls in this category. They are not writing the program, but with the help of queries, what they are doing, they are interacting with the database. Okay, how they are interacting. For example, let us take example of one analyst. What analyst will do? Analyst will write their SQL queries or DML queries. At that time, he will get the he will get the correct output. Okay, and you know what? Who is analyst? Anyone? You know the meaning of analyst? You can write here in chat box. Anyone meaning of analyst? Who analyzes data? Yes, in companies there are many. There is one position of analyst. What he will do? He will analyze the data. In past 5 years, these are the data which we are going through or which we are using. Such people is considered as analyst. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so that is analyst. Okay, now let us see what is specialized user. What is specialized user? It writes specialized database applications that do not fit into the traditional data processing framework. Okay, you can say that among a few applications, one of them is graphics data, or you can say audio data, video data, or environment modeling system. This all falls under the characteristics of specialized user. Okay, they will write the, or they will process the framework which is not in traditional system, which is not in text format or anything. It can be in audio format, it can be in graphics format, it can be in video format. Okay, so these four are the different kinds of user. Now let us see what is database administrator. You can say that database administrator is the one person who controls or operations on the database, which data is needed to be stored, which data can store where, memory allocation, each and everything will be taken care by database administrator. Okay, he will also control all the operations, that which kind of people can access which kind of data. User cannot access data of admin, or admin cannot access data of user. This is the role of database administrator. Okay, so there are different kinds of role of database administrator. Let us look into it. First one is schema definition. What is schema definition? You can say that database administrator will create the original database schema by executing a set of data definition statement in DDL. Okay, means by creating it, or by creating it, or you can say by writing some SQL query, DDL query, means create, drop, truncate. So this is the work of database administrator. Okay, it defines the logical schema of the database. Next thing is storage structure and access method definition. What it will do, how the data will be stored, who can access the data, different things will be satisfied here. It will decide how the data is to be represented in the database and how to access it. That is the work of DBA. Next role is defining security and integrity constraint. It will decide various security and integrity constraint, that whether the system is secure with from the user who are not authorized, from unauthorized user, you can say, or whether integrity constraints are satisfied or not. Integrity constraint means correctness, completeness, whether it is satisfied or not. It will look into it. Next task is granting of authorization for data access. Who is the who to whom you will give the authorization? That is also looked here. To whom you will permit to access the data. Here the thing will be noticed. So granting of authorization for data access, it determines which user need access to which part of the database. It is not like if someone needs to access some data, then you will give him complete, you will give him right of complete operation. No, you will give him right of few operations. Whatever data he is needed, he will get right only about that operation. He cannot access the complete database. So this will be taken care by database administrator. Then there is next point is liaison with user. That means that relationship, you can say, or you can say that communication with the user. Okay, it provides data to user, how user can get data, what communication is happening between user and the database. That will be checked here. Next thing is assisting application program. What is assisting application program? Application programmer is the programmer who will write your application or write your data with higher language like Java, .NET, as we saw in previous slide. So here assisting application programmer is means the we are providing means database administrator is providing one assistant to the application programmer whenever he needs to develop the application programs. Okay. Next one is monitoring performance. What is monitoring performance? It ensures that better performance is maintained by making change in physical or you can say in logical schema if required. Okay, so that will be monitoring performance. Next thing is backup and recovery. What is backup and recovery? Whenever we are storing any information in database, it is not that our information is always safe due to some virus or due to system crash. If we lost our data, then we need to recover it, right? So here DBA, the main role of DBA is, whenever I say DBA, I mean to say database administrator. Okay. So what is the main role? He will also look into backup and recovery, whether whatever data you are storing in the database, is it getting backup in regular interval or not? What if the system crashes or what due to some virus or due to some other problem or other issues? What if you lost some data? Then are you able to recover the data? If yes, then with which tool and how? That will be taken care by DBA. Okay, backupping the database on some storage devices such as DVD, CD, or magnetic tape, or remote servers and recover system in case of failures such as flood or virus attack from this backup. Okay, so these are the role of DBA. Now, whenever we are talking about overall database architecture and component, you can say that it is divided into four parts, or you can say that it has four main components. First one is users who are connected to the database. Second one is query processor. Third one is storage manager, and fourth one is disk storage. Okay. First of all, you can say that in complete database architecture, database system can be centralized or client server, where one server machine executes work and on behalf of multiple client machines. Okay, so one will ask for information and other will provide the information. Client will ask for information or request for information, and what the server will do, he will fetch the data and he will provide the information. Okay. So types of user and how they access database. Let us see that. As we saw that there are four types of user, naive user, application programmer, sophisticated user, and database administrator. What naive user will do, he will use application interface. If he wants to use some, he wants to fill some form, or if he wants some data from website, naive user will use application interface. Okay. Next part is application programmer. What application programmer will do, it will write application program in different languages with the help of different tools. Okay. Next one is sophisticated user. What sophisticated user will do, You can say that sophisticated user is analyst, right? Who will analyze the data. What they will do? They will use query tools, and they will, with the help of different queries, they will write there, or they will fetch the data. Next one is database administrator. What is database administrator? It will use the administration tool, and what it will do, it will, as we saw in last slide, it will perform different roles and responsibilities. Backup and recovery will be taken care by, security and integrity issues will be taken care by database administrator. So these are the different types of user, and how they are accessing database is shown here. Okay. Next one is query processor. So let us see what is query processor. First, here it is given DTL interpreter and compiler and linker. What is the difference between compiler and linker and interpreter? What compiler will do? Compiler will compile the complete code, and interpreter, it will interpret the code line by line. If there is error in first line, then it will not let you move to the next line, right? And what compiler will do? Compiler will completely execute the code, and at the end of the program, when you run the program, it will show you different kinds of error. Okay. So here application program object code is given, compiler and linker, DML queries, and DDL interpreter. What application program object code will do? They will see that whether the application programmer has written the correct code or not. They will check the code. They are associated with compiler and linker also. How are they associated with compiler and linker? What they will do? They will fetch the program, they will fetch the output from compiler and linker, and they will check whether the application program is correct or not. Next thing is compiler and linker. As we saw that what compiler and linker will do, it will link different kinds of module or different types of program. And also you can say that compiler will compile the complete code at once. Next one is DML queries. What is DML query? In the last to last lecture, we saw what is DML query, right? What are the queries associated in DML? Can anyone answer that? You can unmute yourself and you can answer. Anyone? Am I audible to you? Yes. Okay, thank you. Can you answer which queries are under DML queries? Can you answer that? Select, okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, yes.
It's me, Naishargi.
हाँ Naishargi.
Ma'am, it's a select, insert, update, and delete.
Yeah, these queries are DML queries, right? So what DML here will do? Yeah, correct answer. Many of you are giving correct answer. Very good. So here, what they will do, they are going to write DML queries, and then again DML queries will be go to compiler and organizer. Then it will go to query evaluation engine. What is query evaluation engine? It will execute low-level instruction generated by the DML compiler. And what DML compiler will do here is it will translate DML statement into low-level instruction. Okay. Then again that instruction will be compiled here in query evaluation engine. Okay. So next is, this is query processor. So next is storage manager. What is storage manager? You can see here this box is given for this part is for storage manager. There are four different kinds of manager. First one is buffer manager, second one is file manager, third one is authorization and integrity manager, and fourth one is transaction manager. Okay. So buffer manager, it will fetch data from disk storage to memory for being used. Okay. It will also manage the available main memory by dividing the main memory into collection of pages. And what is page? Pages, you can say that page is the smallest unit of data storage in Microsoft SQL. Okay. So what buffer manager will do, he will divide the memory into different kind of pages, and he will allocate the he will allocate the memory, and also he will manage the memory. Okay, that is buffer manager. What is file manager? What file manager will do here is it will manage the allocation of space on disk storage and the data structure used to represent information stored on the disk. That is the work of file manager. Okay, it will manage space of on disk storage. Okay, so if you need any memory, extra memory in this storage, it will manage that. That is file manager. Next one is authorization and integrity manager. What is authorization and integrity manager? It will check the authority of user to access data, and also they can check the satisfaction of integrity and constraints. So that is the work of authorization and integrity manager. Okay, it will check the authorization, and it will also check if integrity constraints are satisfied here or not. Next one is transaction manager. What it will do, it will you can say the transaction manager will preserve atomicity and control concurrency. So there are four principle of transaction: or atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. You can say these are acid properties, which are transaction management properties. Okay, so what is atomicity? Either, for example, let us take one example for a transferring fund from one account to another account. Okay, so that is bank manager. So what it will do in atomicity, if from my account money is deducted but it is not credited into your account, then that is some issue, right? That will create one error, that will create one issue. So atomicity says that either if transactions should be completely done, or either it should not at all done. If money is deducted from my account, then it must go to your account. Or if it is not deducted from my account, then it will not go to your account. That is atomicity. Either everything is done, either everything is not done. The next property of transaction manager is consistency. How you can say consistency is, let us take one more example on consistency. That is fund transfer from one account to another, then amount from one account at starting of transaction, and at the other end, at the other account, it should be seen. For example, if I am transferring you 500 rupees from my account to your account, then if I am transferring 500, then it should be 500 rupees only in your account. It should not be you are getting 400 or you are getting 600. That should not be done. That is consistency. Okay, starting से लेके end तक सही होना चाहिए. Next one is isolation. What is isolation? You can say that intermediate state of a transaction is invisible to other transaction. Okay, so at from my end, if I have transferred money to you, then in my hand I will get the message at my end that you have transferred this much amount is debited from your account, and at your end what it will show you that this much money is credited to your this account. Okay, at, from my side it will not show me both things, that it is uh, gone from your account and it is transferred to this person, and from your side it will not show both things. Okay, it should be isolated. Next thing is durability. After a transaction successfully completes, or you can say changes to data persist are not undone. That means once I have transferred you 500 rupees, then if I change my mind that now I don't want to give you money, so that is not in my hand. Then you have to do that transaction. You have to revert me back. I cannot take it from your account. Okay. So these are the main properties of transaction manager, which we will see in detail in next chapter. Okay. So these are storage manager. Storage manager are four types. First one is buffer manager. Next one is file manager. Next, authorization and integrity manager. And fourth one would be transaction manager. Okay. So next thing is data storage. Sorry, disk storage. What is disk storage? Whenever we are talking about database, there is some space where we are storing our data, right? So that is disk storage. Here different types of data is storage is given. First one is data, second one is indices, third one is data dictionary, and fourth one is statistical data. Okay. So what is data? You can say data, we will consider it data file. Okay, you can say that it will store user data, the data which are entered by user, or user information, the information which are entering into the system, which can also be accessed by file manager and buffer manager. You can see that here. Okay, so data can be accessed by file manager and buffer manager, both of them. Next is indices. What is indices? Indices is index of data which is stored here, and that what it will do, it will give you faster access. Okay, for example, if I'm searching for some data, but I'm not giving index to that data, then how I will get, I have to search one by one, right? But if I have given index, then I will directly go to number 20. Okay, 20 number data is there with me. Okay, so indices is needed there. Indices will also be accessed by buffer manager and file manager. Okay. After completing this storage part, what we'll do, we will look into complete diagram, or you can say architecture of database. Okay. Next one is data dictionary. What is data dictionary? It is used to store metadata. You know metadata, right? Metadata is, any doubt, anyone? Any doubt? Am I audible? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next is data dictionary. It will store metadata. We saw that metadata is data about data, that is metadata. Okay. It will describe the structure of database and relationship between the element, how data database, how different kinds of data are related to each other. That will be shown here in data dictionary. Okay, it can be used for access control and manipulation of data. When I say manipulation of data, please to understand all DML queries, that is insert, sorry, update, modify, insert, that is manipulation of data. Okay, it can change the data. Next one is statistical data. What is statistical data? Okay, so what is statistical data? It used to store statistical information about the data in the database. Whenever I say to statistical information, you can get to know that it is mathematical information or calculation information which is stored in the database. It is used for analysis purpose. Whenever you want to analyze something, or analyst want to analyze something from data, he can use this statistical data. Okay, so this is the complete architecture. You can say overall database architecture. How it is related? Let us connect all this point which we have seen here. So what Nave user will do? Nave user will use application interface. Okay. And what will application programmer will do here? He will write the application program, and he will complete the our project. He will show that which things are related to which, as, or who can get the access, everything. Okay. Next is sophisticated user, means the analyst. What he will do with the help of query tools? He will write the queries and he will get the data. Next is database administrator. What database administrator will do? Administrator, with the help of administration tools, he will go to the database and he will interpret the data. Okay. Now in query processor, application program object code is related to Nave user. Why Nave user? Because Nave user are accessing this object code, or you can say program, with the help of application interface. Then here compiler and linker, they are processing their program with the help of application program object code. All these things will go to query evaluation engine. Each and everything will be evaluated here, whether everything is going perfectly or not, whether it is accessible or not, whether the given information is required or not. Next is sophisticated user. What he will do with the help of query tool, he will write here DML queries, and with the help of that queries, you can access the data. Next is database administrator. With the help of administration tool, there are different administration tools. With the help of that tool, what he will do, he can write DDL query, he can write DML query, and he will access the database. Now, here, query evaluation engine, it will be accessible to all these things, that is buffer manager, file manager, authorization and integrity manager, and transaction manager. What buffer manager will do, he will fetch the data, he can also access indexes, and same thing will be done by file manager. He can access data and he can access the indices. Okay. So next thing is authorization and integrity manager. What authorization and integrity manager will do here is they can get access to the data dictionary. They will check the data, whatever is inside is correct or not. He will check the authorization, whether the particular person is authorized or not, and also he will check the integrity issues. Okay. Next thing is transaction manager. What will transaction manager do? Transaction manager, he will check the transaction of each and everything. That is asset properties, which we have discussed here, right? Atomicity, then consistency, then isolation, and next one would be durability. Okay, so this is the complete task of overall database architecture and their component, what each, how it is related to each other, and what it will do. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time. Please, you all write this in your book. Means you all can draw this, or you can take the snapshot of this slide, because this is overall database architecture, which is so important, and it is also asked in GTU exams many times. Yes, Ria, you are asking about reference book. Actually, I have uploaded reference book. Now it should be visible to you because I have uploaded it second time. If still it is not visible, then you can ask me, let me know so that I can upload it again. And you have to refer for this. You can refer fourth book, KORTH. At the end of this PPT, I have given few references from where you can refer all this topic. I have also mentioned your book in that. Okay. Mehak is having doubt in indices and Alvish is having doubt in query processor. Okay. So see, what does indices do here? We are, whenever we are giving index to some data, that will be considered in, that will be stored in different database, that is indices, different table. Okay, so that with the help of, or you can say with the reference of index only, we can fetch the complete data. It would be easier for us, so it will make fast access to the, it will be fast accessible to the user, that is indices. And Alvish was having doubt in query processor. Okay. Alvish, query processor means whenever you are writing some SQL queries, then what query processor will do? They will do some operations, they will do some functions, and they will proceed your query. Okay. So here DML queries will be processed, and it will go to DML compiler and organizer. which will again go to query evaluation engine. So what will DML query? What DML query does? Whenever you are writing any query, DML query, let us say modify or create or anything, at that time it will go to DML compiler. What compiler will do? They will check whether each and everything is going correctly or not. If there is any error, they will show you some error. Okay, then it will go to query evaluation engine. In query evaluation engine, it will execute low-level instruction generated by DML compiler. Here DML compiler will generate low-level instruction and it will be performed by query evaluation engine. Okay, am I clear, Alvish? Okay, understood. Yes, it is not uploaded. Okay, it is not uploaded. Okay. Okay, so after completing this lecture, I will upload that. And after uploading that, what we will do, you have to refer to the chapter, and I will also upload PPT because I think our chapter is completed here. This is the last topic and we are completing our chapter here. Okay. Okay. So any doubt till now? Any doubt till now? No doubt. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Have you taken picture of this PPT? Please take this picture of this PPT so that in next lecture I can ask you that what is overall, can you can describe me what is overall database architecture. Okay, thank you. Okay. So now at the end of this chapter, let us discuss some questions which are asked in GTU, and few of them are repeatedly asked. So you have to focus on this question. I will upload this PPT. What you need to do is you see this question. If you don't understand this or if you have any doubt in any question, we can discuss this in next lecture. Okay. So first question is explain task of DBA. So we have completed today itself. These are the task role of DBA. What DBA will do. Okay. That is asked in GTU exam. You have to list and explain DML statement with suitable example. Examples we are doing in lab of DML statements, and here what is DML statement is given. Select, insert, update, delete. These are commands of DML. Okay, so that you have to write. In exam, you have to focus on your lab work also, because in exam many queries are also asked. At least 7 to 8 queries are asked each and every time. Okay, so you have to focus on that. Explain three-level architecture of DBMS. So you have to explain that three-tier architecture. If it is asked that explain DBMS architecture, then you have to explain this overall architecture. Then explain the disadvantage of file processing system and compared to database management system, which we saw in our second lecture. What is difference between data security and integrity? That also we saw in last week. What is data security and what is data integrity? You have to write that. Then you have to explain commit, rollback, and save point command. What is commit command, what is rollback, and what is save point. Theory portion we have looked here, but we will practice this in lab also. Okay. Define DBMS. You have to write definition of DBMS and you have to write difference between file processing system and DBMS. Why DBMS is helpful. Then explain three-level architecture of DBMS. Again, it was asked, means questions are asked multiple times. Okay. Differentiate grant and revoke command with example. Then you have to differentiate between what is grant command and what is revoke command. Okay. So these are the things which were asked in GTU exams. Next, here see I have mentioned in references one book which is important for you. It is number one book of which is we can say that Henley Court book. Okay. So what you have to go do, your today's task is you have to you have to write here, means you have to check this ppt, download this ppt, check this ppt. If you think that few points are important to you and you want to write, then you please write down in your notebook, and we will move to our next chapter in our next lecture tomorrow. Okay, am I clear? Any doubt in this complete chapter? No doubt. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, who's this? Any doubt? Okay, thank you. So now let us see what we did in this complete chapter. Let us see it once. Okay. So this was our first lecture in which we saw what is DBMS, what is data, what is information, how database, why database is required, how it is accessible. We saw all this information, right? Whenever you find you do not understand this PPT, please unmute yourself and you can ask me right now. Okay, then we saw applications where DBMS is used. Then we saw what is file processing system, then disadvantages of file processing system. Then also we covered advantages of DBMS in comparison with file processing system. Okay, this is asked in GTU exam. You have to keep focus on this. Then we saw database languages, DDL, DML, DCL, and TCL, which we are practicing in lab. Okay. So these are SQL commands. Here it is represented in one diagram form. Then we saw NC Spark architecture. Here external level, conceptual level, and internal level were discussed. After that, we saw there are one tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architecture. Then what is instance and schema was discussed. After that, how data is independent to each other, that was discussed, that it should be independent, because if it is dependent, then one changes in one data will affect to the changes in other data, which should not be affected. So we are always preparing for data independence. Okay. Next is data abstraction, physical, logical, and view. Next, we saw users of overall database architecture, that is naive user, application programmer, sophisticated user, and specialized user. We saw roles of DBA, or you can say task performed by DBA, that is database administrator. In overall database architecture and component is given here: user, query processor, storage manager, and disk storage, which we discussed just now. This is our complete overall architecture, which are divided in four parts: disk storage, storage manager, query processor, and different kinds of user. And these are the GTU examples. Okay. Fine. So what now we need to do? Your attendance is fetched from the meet itself. So no need to take attendance in lecture now. Just a second. Bhautik, please unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Bhautik, can you say me what is DBA and different roles of DBA?
Ma'am, four role of DBMS.
No, I am talking about DBA, database as administrator. Bhautik, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anjan, Anjan, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Anjan, can you say role of DBA, database administrator? Anjan, can you say that?
No, ma'am.
Breeze, Breeze, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Breeze, can you define the role of DBA? Gaurav,
Yes, ma'am.
Gaurav, can you please say the role of DBA?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, continue.
There are 8 roles of DBA.
Okay.
First one is schema definition,
Hmm.
then backup and recovery,
Yeah.
assisting application
Hmm.
programmer,
Assigning, assisting application programmer. Yes.
defining security and integrity
Constraint.
constraints,
Yes, yes.
authorization for data access.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Good, Gaurav. Next.
Thanks.
Kanan, Kanan, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Kanan, can you say which things are there in disk storage? Which components are
Uh,
associated with disk storage?
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Kanan, can you say which components are associated with disk storage? Anyone else?
Ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, data indices,
Yes.
statistical data, and
Yeah.
data dictionary.
Okay, very good. Good. So now here we are ending our lecture. You need to revise the PPT. If you have any doubt, we can discuss in our next lecture. Okay. Have a good day and join your lab session at 12.